Hey guys, it's mcfixit here. I created this really sweet disc die with just a few different components of clear glue and quick coat and worm dip, spike it, and turned out really sweet. It even has some UV properties, and so I'll turn off the lights real quick, and you can see will glow in the dark. Pretty awesome. Obviously you're gonna have a UV light of some sort. I encourage you to watch the whole video to see exactly how I did this from a white disc to a really sweet disc die. So here are the tools and the supplies. I'm going to use acetone and cotton balls to remove the old stamp. I'll probably use denatured alcohol to help remove some of the glue residue that's left over. I'm going to be using a 3-in-1 silicone, most likely. Some of these I don't always use, but this sometimes helps give you some different shapes and cells. Some water and Dawn dish soap, a 9.2 by 9.2 by 9.2 pan. Sometimes I'll use a blowtorch or I'll use a heat gun, one of the two. I'm going to be using purple and yellow today. We're going to have some extra clear glue. I do use some droppers. I have some more back here as well. Lots of paper towels. I would encourage you to always wear gloves. You're going to want some kind of pick or tools. Sometimes I use little Starbucks stir sticks as well because my wife gets lots of tea there, so we have them left over and I just reuse them. So let's go ahead and get into this disc die. We're going to go ahead and open up our acetone. You're going to need a cotton ball. If it's a bigger stamp, you might need more than one. But this acetone will eat through the stamp. So it was gold originally. It'll turn kind of a silvery color. You can't really get the pin mark, but I still go over it. Always hopeful one day they will create a marking on it that you can actually say bye-bye to, but so far they haven't yet. So just a little elbow grease. And this is a factory second disc, so there's always some blemishes in it, but normally they're often a lot cheaper. They don't always have them up on their website, but sometimes they do. That was just some Dawn dish soap and water, or you can take it in your house and clean it off. Totally your choice. I prefer not to get too much in my sink at home. So that's good. Go ahead and set that off to the side. We'll go ahead and remove the saran wrap on this. And you might be like, oh man, that's a lot of glue in there. That is just kind of nasty. It's fine. We reuse it all the time. It is pretty cold in my garage. Sometimes I do preheat this under some heat lamps. That's the other thing I have. I don't know if I mentioned, I do use some heat lamps, but if not, you don't have those, you can just give it some extra time. I'm just adding a little extra glue to the center of it. That helps you get a little cleaner base to start with. I'm okay with some of the extra colors in it. In fact, I'll probably mix this one around like I do most of them. The next thing I do, I'll actually use that little pick. If there's any good nasty clumps like this one right here, I don't want that in there. So I'll go ahead and pull that and put that in the trash can that is just out of sight below. Okay, that looks good right there. I'm just using a little blowtorch to pop any air bubbles. And it also kind of heats up the surface. So I'm gonna actually use the heat gun to heat it up a little. It's about 30 degrees in my garage, so it is quite cold. So I use droppers. And whatever colors you choose, I'm going to choose to do purple and yellow today. Try to make sure they're all mixed up nice. Both of these do have some UV glow action to it as well. So if you have a UV light, it will shine, which is pretty cool. So I'm just going to take some drops. And I've never been able to drop these like perfect. They kind of just have a mind of their own, which is kind of why I like this process. Because you can try to like give it pure shape, but it's just going to kind of do its own thing. So as long as you're okay with that, this is a fun process to do. If you are super particular and you're like, oh, I want it to only do what I want, you might not like this process. And so this is that purple. And if these things interact, you'll see they kind of morph color. So the one thing I will say, if you just straight mix this for too long, you can actually make it go kind of crazy. And sometimes it just turns into like poop brown. So be careful not to mix too much. I have done that before. So just a little word of advice there. Okay, I'm going to hit it back up one more time with... No, I'm not going to hit it with the heat gun yet. So I'm going to use a 3-in-1 silicone. And this is just a pick that I've removed about half of the picks on. So this is not going to give you some of those really cool cells, but it will give you some cells. But when I mix it around, it will give you kind of almost like blank spots. And that's really what I'm going for with this. Yeah, you can see those cells starting to bloom there. I mean, if you want just cells, it can look really cool with just cells. But my goal is not just to have cells, but to kind of give it some unique perspectives. Okay. I like that right there. Because you'll see, I'm just going to kind of put back in where some of those cells were more yellow, which might seem counterintuitive, but it's fine. This is just the way I like to do it. Yours might look a little different, which is great. That's the beauty in this. So you can choose whatever you want to mix this around. A lot of times just use these stir sticks because they're free and they work really well. So my disc won't reach all the way to these corners here, but I do want it to like have the potential of getting dye all the way to almost the edge of where my disc is going to be. Glue does get messy as well, and so you can see I'm intentionally like wiping it each time. And eventually, like you can see, I can almost start to peel some of this stuff. Eventually, once you've done this enough, you will build up a big enough bed that you can actually like kind of really clean it off well. And these really dark spots sometimes turn out really cool looking. So I'm excited to see. I've not used this purple in a while. And so I'm excited to see exactly how vibrant that's going to show up on the disc. So it is hard to tell that some of the things did actually do anything right now, but you're going to see on the final result, it's going to look really sweet. So I'm going to use the heat gun again. Then there are some bubbles. Whenever you're doing this, you do have the chance of this catching fire, so always have an extinguisher nearby. The dye, most dyes are somewhat flammable, especially the liquid ones like these ones that I have over here, the quick coat. So just be very careful with that. It also helps when you do use the heat gun, it kind of removes some of the flammable stuff out of the air. Also, if you're super sensitive to smells and stuff like that, this may not be the best dye for you, because I think the quick coat has a kind of a natural kind of nasty smell to it, and you can kind of decide where you want the top of your disc to be. I think I kind of like it there, because I still see the stamp. If you look at kind of a severe angle, you can kind of still see it, but it's all good. So when I put this in, I'm going to put it in at an angle from one side to the other. And this just enables and allows the disc to remove air bubbles as you're pressing it down. Then I do press it down evenly for just a few seconds to get it to push down just like that. And it kind of gets it to where it sits on the rim all the way around it, wherever you want it to kind of stop. I like that there. I'm going to go put this under my heat lamps. So here's my heat lamp setup. I got 2 lamps, about 24 inches. You can see it is right there. It gets to about 100 degrees at this height with these 2 bulbs, but works really, really well to speed up the process. This takes about 2.5 hours to do, and we'll see you here just in a few seconds. You won't have to wait that long like I do. I also picked these up. I forgot to show this earlier. These are just antibacterial wipes that are a lot cheaper because I spent $0.25 on 50 of them than a bunch of paper towels. So I'll be using those as well to help clean up. And you can see it did kind of pull some of this. So I'm just going to pull this off and throw it in my trash can that's just off the edge of the camera. And now it's time to go in and clean off that disc. Use those towels, use those wipes, whatever you need to start getting it clean. You can even go inside and clean it underneath your sink in your house. Whatever works best for you to get this disc nice and clean and remove all of the glue. I also will be using some denatured alcohol as well because that really does help out. And I think that with the alcohol wipes just really gets it nice and clean. Wow, this disc reveal looks sweet. I really like the detail that this glue and the worm dip did on here. We have the purple and the yellow. You can see cells. You can see where it's kind of created its own design within its design, which is what I really like about this, and just really pops. I mean, you're going to see that in a field really well or in the woods. Let's try some UV light on it because they did say that when you put the UV, wow, when you put the UV light against this, it shines so bright. Now this will not glow without that UV light, but if you're looking for your disc someplace, that is going to shine very bright in a dark area. I really like the effect that this added to it. I hope you like it. If you do have any comments, put them in the comment section down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, do so as well. Thank you guys so much for watching.